Es sei denn, aber
Meine Damen und Herren, ich freue mich.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be able to welcome His Majesty King Abdullah of Jordan yet again to Berlin. We've met, for the last time we met at in Assisi for the handing over of the Lamp of Peace. I was a guest of the King of Jordan last year, together with a delegation of business people, and we talked obviously about bilateral relations. Germany is engaged in Jordan, is very much aware of the challenges that the kingdom faces, particularly as regards the enormous humanitarian burden and responsibility that Jordan is assuming. Let us not forget that they have a large number of refugees due to the conflicts in the region, a high number of Syrian refugees. So Jordan is doing exemplary work and extraordinary work in a region that is very much rent apart by conflicts. Now, we've also talked about the peace process in the Middle East. We clearly commit ourselves to the two-state solution. That, for us, is a precondition to a peaceful coexistence of a Jewish state of Israel and a state for the Palestinians. In spite of difficult framework conditions, overall conditions, we must not forget and must not relent to bring about this goal. It's not only important for the people in the region, but it's important for the stability of the whole of the region. We've obviously also talked about the situation in Syria. We were at one in saying that primarily what we need is a political process. It seems as if we were very close to a constitutional committee being set up under the auspices of the United Nations. A process then has to be initiated that creates a political environment that is conducive to a possible return of refugees, particularly in the region, Lebanon, Jordan, but also in Turkey. This is of prime importance to those countries. We also talked about the situation in Iran. I explained that we, from a European vantage point, think that JCPOA it could be one possible building stone to which we ought to return. But it is true there are a number of other burdens that are created by Iran, the ballistic missile program, but also their activities in Syria, their military engagement there. And obviously, we need to discuss a number of matters. We are for a diplomatic process. We're trying to bring this diplomatic process forward. But over the past few days, obviously, tensions have yet again increased in the region. And this is why we firmly say we stand firmly on the side of de-escalation. Long-term solutions can only be found through political means. On the whole, it was, as always, a very friendly and very interesting talk we had. Thank you, Your Majesty, for coming here. And there are a number of issues related to security, but also to economic issues, where we will continue to cooperate very closely with you.
As always, a tremendously gracious hospitality provided by yourself and the government of Germany. I fondly remember the many times that we meet on the international stage and the strong support you give to not only Jordanians but hope for our region. And again, recently welcoming the Federal Minister of Defense to Jordan, that just, I think, underlines the growing ties between our two countries, especially when we look at regional defense and security challenges. Every day gets better, and we're very grateful for Germany's role in our area. Obviously, there are many areas that Germany has been helping Jordan over the years, and actually this year we marked the 60th anniversary of the Jordanian-German Development Cooperation, and we look forward to many decades of support and help as we go forward to the benefit of both countries. We are very grateful to to Germany on multiple levels in helping our economy move forward, being able to deal with the challenges of refugees. And I'm here to thank Her Excellency the Chancellor, but also the German people for their steadfast support of our country and understanding the burdens that we face. So we, as you said, Madam Chancellor, we had an opportunity, as always, to exchange views and agree, as we always do, on many of the challenges, and this was probably one of the best meetings that I've ever had. We obviously did discuss, as the Chancellor mentioned, on the Israeli-Palestinian issue, and this is, I think, to us still the major conflict in the region. And we are very concerned that any escalations that prevent the launch of negotiations between both sides will only add to the burdens that we have going into the future. So we hope that there is common sense that prevails, and this is where, again, Germany and Jordan look to the future in a unified way. Jordan also is the Hashemite custodianship of Islamic and Christian holy sites in the holy city of Jerusalem. We are proud to carry that responsibility on behalf of Muslims and Christians, but we all in the world have a stake in Jerusalem. It is a religious and historical obligation of the Christian Muslim worlds to guarantee the future of this holy city. And again, I thank the role of Germany in being able to engage positively on this issue. And ma'am, thank you so much for a tremendous meeting today, and I always appreciate the strong support that we get from you and from your country. Thank you very much.
How is Jordan moving forward now after years of facing economic difficulties caused by the impact of regional instability? Where do you see, Your Majesty, the economy is heading? Madam Chancellor, what's Germany's reaction to recent statement by and promises made by Israeli Prime Minister on annexing the Jordan Valley and the settlement inside the West Bank?
Well, on my answer, Jordan has been working on a very strong fiscal responsible program with the IMF and the World Bank, and that has moved along extremely well. We have a targeted approach of an economic reform program over the next 5 years to capitalize on Jordan's strength, which is obviously our very capable, young, talented population. But tourism, IT, new technologies, healthcare, these are a strength that Jordan has, and as the World Economic Forum pointed out of the top 100 startups last year, 27 of them were from Jordan. So things are moving in the right direction. The government is committed to the very strong fiscal reform program, and so we are looking at improving the process over the next year or two. But that wouldn't be as successful if it wasn't for the strong support that we get from Germany in being able to help us in this issue, as well as the tremendous support we get from the EU in being able to overcome the burdens that we've had, basically because of Arab Spring and the refugee crisis. And so, again, my tremendous thanks to Germany and to the European Union for their steadfast support.
Ja, die
Well, the federal government, as I've already said, feels committed to a negotiated international peace solution and peace settlement in the direction of a two-state solution as regards the Israeli and Palestinian conflict. And any kind of annexation is always detrimental to such a process. They do not help such moves, and this is why we do not agree with such a policy. Madam Chancellor, if we look at the present situation in Saudi Arabia, are you for a prolongation of the arms embargo or perhaps a temporary lifting of it, as some CDU politicians demand? And as regards the attacks of Iran against Saudi Arabia, obviously is the background to that. And Your Majesty, do you think that if there is an annexation of the West Bank in the Jordan Valley, that international sanctions ought to be imposed on Israel as they have existed against Russia? Right now, I don't see any preconditions that make it possible for the German government to change its policies. You know that we have been informed by the development in Yemen in taking our decision on the arms embargo with Saudi Arabia. And everything, I think, points to the urgency of trying to find a negotiated settlement to the Yemen conflict. It looks difficult, I admit, at this point in time, but we must not relent in trying to find a solution. Now, as regards the origins of the attacks against Saudi Arabia that we obviously condemn, we shall have to wait and see for the intelligence coming out of that. I cannot as yet come to a definitive position on this, but I think it all has to be seen in the overall context of tensions in the region at large. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Your Majesty.
Extremely concerned by statements made about the annexation of the West Bank. I think that directly will impact on the relationship between Israel and Jordan and Israel and Egypt. This does not help a conducive atmosphere to bring Israelis and Palestinians together. So these type of statements, I think, are a disaster to any attempt to move forward to the two-state solution. And we are looking at this with tremendous concern in Jordan because it does not bode well for trying to get Israelis and Palestinians together. If I can also add on the issue of Saudi Arabia, all of us, I think, are working tremendously in the international community to deconflict and bring the crisis down because we cannot afford a Pandora's box scenario in our part of the world. From the Jordanian perspective, our full support, obviously, to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and we hope that we can get past this conflict as quickly as possible. But from the Jordanian point of view, the security stability of Saudi Arabia is all important to us in Jordan. Thank you, sir.
Sorry.